Righto guys, well, we're back on air after an extended delay. I didn't really want to be off channel this long, but unfortunately I got a bit crook at the beginning of winter there and head cold that just didn't seem to want to go away. But anyway, we're back here now. In that time also, as well as not being on camera, I haven't been on the turf at all. In fact, didn't really have the energy to do much at all. So everything has sort of gotten away. Everything's got a bit overgrown. I have done a few other jobs around that I'll show you in a moment, but pretty much spring's here, colours returning, grass is actually starting to grow. And as you can see, as we look around, there's been a really good response to that ridiculously late season renovation. So I might even hone that in a little bit more for next season and see if I can sort of fine tune and get that end of season reno, because I came through winter with really good colour compared to some areas that I didn't renovate. So I want to have a little play around with that space and see what I can sort of create and see if I can work out an ideal opportunity to do an end of season renovation right before winter hits. But enough of that. Today what we need to do, we need to clean up this area. There's been no surround mow at all since the renovation. There's been no green mow now for about 8 weeks at least, if not more, and it's way long. So I think I was cutting down at around 4 mils, somewhere there when I finished mowing. I would say it's easily, probably in places 10, 11, 12 mil. I am going to just mow straight back down to that ultra short height. It is probably going to scalp a fair bit, but I'm not too concerned because spring renovations are weeks away. So by the time I put a bit of top dress down, etc., it's not really going to matter in this case. That was a bit of a get out of jail free card, if you will. As we look around here, you'll see we've got a bit of winter grass action. We've got a little bit of broadleaf weed. I have already taken care of the broadleaf weeds. I sprayed them 2 weeks ago just to get a bit of a head start. And we'll go and look through the primo there. There's a bit of winter grass through it and a couple little broadleaves and stuff that we'll just mow down today, and we'll deal with them in that way. Regular mowing should take care of that sort of thing. They have been sprayed as well. Obviously winter grass isn't going to, it's no point spraying winter grass now is what I'm trying to say. It's gone to seed, it's set its seed. We'll deal with that going forward with pre-emergence in the surround areas next season when it's time to apply it for winter related weeds. So let's crack on. I'll show you a few bits and pieces and then we'll start tidying up this area, making it look like someone lives here and get it ready for spring, get everything back where it should be. This green is really, I don't know, I think it's going to really look pretty ordinary after we finish mowing it, because it's it's really long. It's ridiculous. In fact, just to put it into perspective, underneath this dark green patch is in fact the cup, the hole. That's, you know, that's just how little attention I've actually given this, or how much little attention I've given it, and it's time to resurrect this. In fact, we look like we could have a little bit of some sort of disease patch happening just there. And I noticed another little bit sort of floating around here, and there. That should blend in when we cut this, because there's not going to be much colour left by the time we do that. Other things that's been happening off camera. Finally managed to get the last of the concrete done. Unfortunately, the colour doesn't match, which is a bit of a pain. I'm going to work on I'm going to blend that at some stage as best I can. Unfortunately, that's just the way it goes. Max has had a little scratch here. There is actually, what I'm going to do at some stage, there is a sprinkler just there. I'm going to extend it down to the edge of the corner there, because at the moment it's sort of spraying onto the concrete, wasting a bit of water. So I'll move it up, fix this section up here a little bit. Unfortunately, when the concrete went in, the cement truck got bogged, which could have been a big ordeal. It turned out to be okay, but it did leave some wheel tracks, so I had to fill that back in with sand. So that should fill in quite nicely. But anyway, guys, look, let's get this sorted out. We'll actually probably rotary mow the surround, then come out with the Toro triplex, and see how it looks after that. Again, it should make it look $1 million. I'm not so sure about what the green's going to look like when we're finished, but it is what it is. So over winter, the Prima has continued to slowly cover over. In fact, probably, I reckon we're in the 90s, probably 95% filled in now. A few little bits on the edge here, a little tiny bit down that corner, and there that's still got to fill in, but it's going really well. Unfortunately, once again, we are hit up with the winter grass and the looks like a bit of annual rye or something there. A few broadleafs that I treated, as I mentioned earlier, and there's nothing left of those now. They're just dead, which is good. Bit more winter grass here. Now, obviously, I can't use a product such as Barricade on this, and a couple of reasons why that is. Number one, in really short turf, it's not recommended to use it, and also during establishment of turf, it's not recommended to use it. So 2 boxes there that I can't tick, therefore I can't use the product. Now, interestingly enough, as we come over here, you'll see another little patch of winter grass. Now, that is all pretty much, and you can just see them here, pretty much where the cores were. And I just backfilled those cores with sand, and the cores being the plugs that we used to put here. So on its own, once it's fully established like it is here, it's actually almost too thick for anything to penetrate through like that. So pretty happy with that, to be honest with you. There's a little tiny bit there, but yeah, technically speaking, we'll mow these up with the Rotary. We'll clean this seed head up with the Rotary, and then we'll go across with the cylinder mower anyway. I'm sort of hoping now I won't need to put that mesh back down. I'm sure it's established enough for Max to keep his nose out of it and his claws out of it. Fingers crossed anyway. Instead of just going straight onto this now with the reel mower, I want to do a clean up with the Rotary. For starters, all this longer stalky material here on the seed head and stuff isn't necessarily going to get cut with the reel because of the length of it all. So we'll go over this with the Rotary, clean up any material that may be here that could damage the machine, any rocks or anything that Max has dragged in here, and then we'll do a final pass with the 3250D, the triplex. Haven't started that for a while too, so hopefully it's not flat. So that's looking a lot neater, but I think there's still room for improvement. So we'll move on to the green now. We'll give the green a cut, then we'll come back and we'll run the triplex around the edge of the surround to give it that final finishing touch and see if we can get this green looking like someone owns it once again. But as I said already, looking a heap neater, much neater, and it looks so much nicer too, not having the mesh obviously on that there. Might have to hand weed out the remaining bits of winter grass. Yeah, I think I'll hand weed those out and just clean up through there as time permits. Okay, let's see what damage we can do down this green. I wonder how green it's going to be by the time we're finished. Even I'm not sure of that. Okay, so about 2/3 of the way through it at the moment, and full catcher already. Actually pretty happy with how it's coming up so far. I thought it might have scalped in a bit harder. Obviously, if I was to double cut this or triple cut this, etc., I'd get more and more grass off at each pass. I'm not going to do that today. I'm going to go back to more frequent mowing. I'm going to probably try and mow daily or every second day leading up to renovation now, just to get that down closer to a true height of cut, because at the moment that little mower is working pretty hard and it's doing a damn fine job. But we'll crack on now. We'll get the last of it done, and we'll see how good we can get it to look. So really probably two full catches. It is looking a bit scalpy, but as I said, coming into spring, Reno's around the corner, so it's not really going to be a huge concern. It's just a bit unsightly, but that is the way it goes. I'm going to quickly mow the bit of pre-mow. So even our little tiny patch of Primo has had a reasonable amount of growth in that time. Now, I'll point out this little scalpy patch here, and what's going on here is this is where it slowly starts to slope down into the new section. So the I guess the way the mower is designed, that bit there is probably cutting a bit lower than elsewhere. But it's been interesting with this scalpy patch because I've had it there towards the end of the season, and I've deliberately kept on scalping it to see how it responds. Now, this, although very slow, has continued to grow all through winter and still has some substantially good colour. A little bit lighter here, but particularly here, so it could do with a little bit of a liquid feed just to bring a bit of colour back into it, and once the temperatures warm up. But if we look at this better section, it is fairly impressive, and going forward it's going to make a pretty awesome green when all this gets swapped out. In an upcoming video we're going to open this box and see what's in here. There is a new machine in here that we're going to use to do our renovations this year, so stay tuned. Full reveal and review, etc., coming up in a future episode. Well, I'll tell you what, that looks a lot better. Even just going over it again now with the cylinder mower here with the 3250, it has really made this look much more like it's meant to look. The surrounds are looking quite human again, or quite suitable again. The green will be a little bit of a longer term project, but that'll be good to follow along with at home. We'll come back on this very soon. There's only one thing left to do now: find a pair of scissors and trim that hole. Ideally it's probably time for a new spot for the pin. It's a little bit tricky. I can do it, but it is a little bit tricky without a hole changer, so I sort of don't change it all that frequently. Okay, so we'll wrap the video up here. Stay tuned, because we're going to go back down to have a look at the ryegrass very shortly down at Ben's place to see how it's going, and we'll start transitioning the rye back to cooch for the summer. A lot of you have been actually asking me how you do that, so we'll cover that in the channel in spring. Renovations just around the corner, secret product review coming up, and I think there's a robot mower on the way too for us to have a look at. Anyway guys, have a fantastic weekend. Hope you've enjoyed this episode, and we'll catch you here next time on the Aussie Lawn.